Hey everybody, it's Mr. McComb once again. It's today's November 1st, and we got the first week of November coming up for our last week of the trimester. Hope everybody had a good, safe Halloween. Let's go ahead and have a little talk about what's going on this week. So last week, as far as kids in the classroom, GA kids were doing a great job with tablets. We spent a lot of time kind of slowing down and doing some orientation work with getting into email, getting used to using, if I send links, they can submit forms online, which helped a lot with our remote learners, kind of staying connected with them, and also helping the kids learn a little bit about how to use those things, how we can take good advantage of those. So great job taking care of them. Great job being responsible, putting them in the cases when we go place to place. We'd worked on a few other options like editing and creating. This week, what I'll try to do a little bit of is take that editing and create thing. If I send them a page or something they can download that I might normally print out and pass out, I can send it to them to their tablet, and then they can edit it by writing answers with their stylus. They're getting really good with the stylus, and then send it back to me for me to check the work. That's kind of going to be my next little challenge coming up. We had a good Halloween party on Friday afternoon, so thanks to all the parents that were involved with that, especially in my homeroom, Mrs. DiBattista. Thanks so much for putting together treats and organizing things for the kids. Definitely this year is a lot going on for me every day that's different from a normal year, and so I really do appreciate everybody who was involved in making me not have to worry about sending reminders to parents. So really great job. Appreciate everybody taking that off my plate. There's plenty of other things I'm dealing with this year, so that was very much appreciated. And it was a nice party to have on a Friday too, to end the week like that, after a busy week of getting used to those tablets and everything else. So we have the end of trimester one coming up this week, so one last week to get a couple grades in, do a little review of some of the big things we got. So here's what's going on with that. Science last week, we started an engineering unit. Fourth grade, they cover engineering as well, and so this was kind of continuing on with that. Kids were familiar with the term prototype especially. We talked about criteria. When we create technology or use technology, usually we hear that word and we think like high-tech electronics, like the tablets that we have now, or jet airplanes or cars, or super duper high-tech things. But technology can also be just, it's anything we use that helps us in our daily lives. And those things all involve design and engineering, where people had to figure out what's the best way to design them to make them best, most practical that they can be. We talked about practical meaning functional, useful, you know, good terms like that. We also, I used an example throughout the week of a pencil. We don't think of pencils as being any kind of technology because they're not electronic, but this is a great form of technology. It helps us do a lot of great work. It's shaped in a certain way that's easy to hold. It's got the eraser on the end. So all these little aspects of it had to be designed by somebody and tested and find out the best way to make it the most useful and the most practical. So that's kind of one of the big things about that. I love how we can talk about anything we use in our daily lives, even just shoelaces or a form of technology, things like that. This week we'll get back into it and finish engineering unit. We did get slowed down a little bit in terms of getting through the lessons of our various classes due to taking time to continue getting used to those tablets. So hopefully we'll be able to keep rocking and rolling through once those become more and more integrated. In math, we started 2-digit divisors. Kids did a pretty good job. I told them this is like one of those big moments in fifth grade history every year, where it's this monumental task, or it feels like it. But we talked about a few strategies we can use. Sometimes we see problems that aren't so scary. They look terrifying at first, but they're maybe not too hard to figure out once we get used to that process. This week we'll continue that and bring in word problems, and we'll do what's called interpret the remainder. So we'll start seeing word problems where you might have a question in a word problem, and you might solve it, and you wouldn't say your answer was 15 remainder 14. If there's a question about how many items are left over that maybe don't fit into a box or something, that might be where we use the remainder as the answer. Or if this was about dividing items into 15 boxes, or how we would say, well, there's 15 full boxes and then one box that has 14, things like that. So the word problems, I like that, especially the textbook kind of separates that from the process of division. The first lesson is about dividing with two-digit divisors. Then we bring in the word problems, because it's not as easy as just giving this as our answer. We have to sometimes think through, what am I being asked here, and then how can I use my division answer to arrive to the correct answer to that question. So that's another challenge coming up that we'll tackle this week. English, we again got slowed down a little bit from taking time out to get used to using the tablets and some of the things I want the kids to be able to do with that. So that was kind of like taking one step back to allow us to take two steps forward here soon. Um, my plan is to digitize English as much as I can. Unfortunately, there's not an online version of the English textbook. It's more of an old-fashioned textbook, like math and science books. We can write in the books and tear out pages. The English books we have are pretty old, and they're just a standard textbook. So what we had to do before the tablets would be, if we're going to solve, or not solve, but go through a few questions and things for the different parts of speech, I would have the kids get out their notebook, number 1 through 20, and then we can get to work. So that again, that takes some time. But what I'm going to do, or hopefully moving forward, is create a bunch of online versions of this, and it takes some time for me to kind of do that. But I think it'll speed up the process of getting through our English lessons. We did that with present tense verbs this week, where I was able to basically take the sentences and questions that are in the textbook, put them into an online format where kids can just select their answers or type in their responses, and that makes it a little quicker and easier to get through again, rather than taking several minutes to set up a page to fill out. So that's kind of my goal there. I think they really enjoyed that. Again, once we learned I can email you at this link. You can go to that link and submit that form. I can get the instant feedback and see how you did, instead of me having to go around to everybody and check your work. So it speeds up the process a little bit. So hopefully this week coming up, we'll be able to do that a little more easily, a little more familiar with that. Now that I won't have to teach them how to do that. And that's kind of my goal moving forward, to keep doing that. So at the end of this week, we'll do a little final review assignment. It might be a homework assignment where I email the kids the link and they can just complete. But at any rate, it'll be just to kind of go over where we've covered in verbs so far. So we will get to that, and that's about the end of the thing. So again, trimester 1 coming up at the end of the week. I did say hopefully had a good Halloween. This is what my kiddos were for Halloween. My daughter Sophia was Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon, and my wife had a fun time making this homemade costume. So this is what Astrid looks like, the real character. So you can see she did a pretty good job replicating that. And then my son, of course, loves zombies, loves soccer, so he was a zombie soccer player, and that's what we had a good time with. So it was a little different than normal as far as Halloween. Hope you guys had a safe one too. Ours wasn't quite as busy as most years, which we sort of expected, but we did have a good time just kind of going around the houses close to our neighborhood, and had some creative ways. Most people were doing a good job being responsible as far as keeping health and safety in mind as they went through that. So hope you guys did as well. Hope you guys have a great week ahead. And again, last week of the trimester coming up here this week. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great Sunday. Bye bye.